So, as you approach the screenplay and the source novel, what themes were apparent, and how did you structure the story to make sure those themes became prevalent?
Well, I mean, first of all, we're working off of a great book, which is really, really nice when you have great source material. I've worked on other times where you got like the idea is good, but you have to restructure the whole thing. So it was really just kind of making sure that we paid off the book for the fans of the book because it's been on the
Sure.
bestseller list for 2 years, but also for new audiences. But the themes that really resonated with me were just the idea that everybody presents themselves differently than what they might be, and some people are much more honest about the way they present themselves, and others are very dishonest about the way they present themselves. And it's now, especially, I feel like we're in the age of the grifter and the con person these days, where just every true crime you watch on the streamers is about somebody pretending to be somebody else and presenting. So this is sort of the ultimate fable for maybe digging a little deeper.
Excellent. Within this story and your approach to it, did you feel that class status plays into the relationships that Millie develops and the journey she takes with the Winchesters? Or is the tone more about character personalities, circumstances, and thriller aspects?
Well, I mean, I honestly, it's an amalgamation of both of them because class and artifice and just everything that we're kind of bamboozled by, if you will, or thrilled by, is a part of kind of our judgment in our character and how it feeds into our character. Do we
True.
do we fall for that? Do we go, oh, that's aspirational for me. I want that, or are you just is Millie? Is she like seduced by this beautiful house and this really perfect seeming family, or is she a person who's so down on her luck that she's just desperately needs any situation she's going to get? And I think it's kind of both.
Cool.
I love the opening of the movie. Like she has this interview in this perfect house with this perfect person, and it seems great. So it's like, what's the problem? And then the next morning, it turns out everything is wrong.
Very good. So you're working with a veteran actor in Amanda Seyfried and a relative newcomer with Sydney Sweeney. Did you find you had to give different direction or adjustments based on the experience of each actor?
No, I mean, they are both so smart and so professional and so talented. Sid, I had, I'd seen her in White Lotus and thought she was really funny in that show. But then it was when I saw the movie Reality that she starred in that I was like, okay, this is a deep talent. Like I don't have to worry about her at all. And then Amanda obviously is, I mean, so good. But it was for this role is really when I saw her do the show that the Dropout that I was like, wow, she's really good at like presenting a bunch of different personalities all at the same time, which is what Nina is. So no,
Yeah,
I just get out of their way and let them do their thing.
cool. So with Bridesmaids and the Simple Favor series, you explore the relationships that women have. What felt different about the woman to woman relationship in The Housemaid than your previous films, and how did you manifest it on set?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a little more adversarial, which I usually try to steer away from
Right,
because I never want to portray women as fighting and all this kind of
right.
thing. But knowing kind of where the story goes, that made it okay because you kind of think that's what it is, and then with no spoilers, but there's
Right,
big twists where you realize, okay, this is actually two people who are in a very similar situation who have to
right.
bond together.
I called it two sides of the same coin.
There you go. Perfectly said, Patrick. Perfectly said.
Oh, thank you. Um, as a few career questions, as you were directing the American classic comedy Bridesmaids, did you and the ensemble feel a particular energy that had you believing that this film was ultimately working, especially as you completed the final edit?
I mean, we had a great time and we definitely knew we were doing something that was going to work.
Okay,
But at the same time, you just have no idea if something's going to be catch on. I mean, I've so many movies I do and I go like, this is people are going to love this. And then suddenly the reviews come out and you're like, what did we do? How did we offend you? But But yeah, with Bridesmaids, it was definitely. I mean, we were really all the test screenings we did. Our scores weren't what they should have been, and I think it was because of what my editor at the time called the greasy cheeseburger effect, which is you're really hungry and somebody gives you a greasy cheeseburger and you're just like, oh, this is so good, and then 10 minutes later you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have eaten that. Like, oh, that was terrible. And I think like things like the dress shop scene, people are like, I shouldn't have laughed at that. So then they have to pretend they didn't like it.
That's great insider stuff. So from your excuse me, from your first film on, you have either directed A-listers or, in the case of Melissa McCarthy, created A-listers. In the casting process, what instinct tells you that a person is right for a role, and when do you know how to accelerate them to get a little extra from the talent you know they have?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I mean, you just kind of, if you're casting stars, you just kind of sometimes look at their other work. But for me, it's I like to meet with them. I just like to let's have coffee or just come to the office. Let's just talk. Because then I can see the side of them that isn't on the screen all the time,
Sure,
and
sure.
go like, oh, you're actually really funny, like when I met Amelia Clark, I was like, she'd been Khaleesi, and I'm like, she's so serious on that show. So like, oh, I'll meet her. And she comes in and she's goofy and funny and sweet. And I was just like, oh, I want to show that side of you, and that's happened to me with so many actors. So it's really, yeah, just like seeing is the character that I'm trying to portray somewhere inside of them. And then as far as how do I push them, I tend to not have to. I don't rehearse a lot. I don't rehearse
Okay.
at all, actually. We
Oh,
just
wow.
I start rolling the camera because I want to see
Crazy.
what they do. Yeah, I want to see what their instinct is. And then I'll just kind of slowly, incrementally, each take move them towards what I think I want. But then I've got a whole range of takes out of them for the editing room. But it's usually turns out that their first instinct was usually much closer to what it ends up being in the movie than it was what I thought I had in my head.
You know how to pick them. Final question. You have a reputation as a quote unquote woman's director, which also described the classic studio era director George Cukor. And what you know about Mr. Cukor, have you researched any traits that you think you have in common?
I mean, it to me, it's like the greatest comparison you could ever have. I mean, I was a huge fan of Kukar, and yeah, I think it's just you have to be in tune with telling women's stories, and it's not like I've got any great insight. It's I just like deputizing all the women around me to help me create these characters that feel real, and it's. I can tell when like women are being directed by guys who are just like, yeah, just try, like they're being told to act in a way that a guy interprets a woman would
Right.
versus, if I have a direction, I kind of, and the women are like, oh, I wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, cool. Let me know what would you do so I can make this honest and three-dimensional.
Nice.
Because then I'm really happy because then they're getting a three-dimensional portrayal of themselves on the screen versus some sort of one-dimensional thing that a dude came up with.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2025.